Well, I thought there was going to be an announcement last night, and as you can see, I'm kind of prepared for it, but apparently it didn't happen. There is still a very good possibility we may get an announcement before this week is over. In Orlando. I know for a fact Hollywood is going to be giving us an announcement on Sunday. Now, there is a really good chance that they could do something before then, and I'm believing that today or tomorrow you will get another Halloween Horror Nights 2014 announcement. So, there's that. It's Thursday now, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here to talk about the Impact Wrestling free preview of Destination X. And I really enjoyed this show. I've really enjoyed the resurgence of TNA lately. I know a lot of people are basically putting them out to pasture right now. TNA might as well be Old Yeller because everybody thinks that TNA is about to just be shot in the back right now and left for dead. But no, I truly believe TNA will survive, and they should survive, and it makes complete sense that they will survive. Not sure if they're going to stay on Spike or they're going to go to another television network, but I do believe that we have not seen the last of Impact Wrestling. And I don't want to if we're getting television like this. This product right now is blowing most of the other shows I'm watching out of the water. I mean, there's a lot of really short matches on WWE's programming right now. Impact right now is hitting it hard and delivering long matches that you actually care about. And I'm very intrigued to see where we go next. And I do know where we go next, but we'll talk about that as we progress. So, real quick, I want to get started and say, and then I need a drink here to get me started. I hope it's not a copyright violation. So, obviously, I'm going to throw out a little message real quick. We are going to be flipping it around this week on Pop. This is your Impact recap. This should have been yesterday's video. And the reason why it wasn't yesterday's video, because Alien vs. Predator got announced early, and sure enough, I had to do that video last night. So that's the reason why this video is Thursday instead of Wednesday. Impact will go back to Wednesday next week and from this moment forward. Unless we have some unforeseen circumstances. Don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. What I mean by things changing around this week are the fact of this right now. AJ's movie reviews will not be coming out on Friday. It'll actually be coming out a day later, and it'll actually be out on Saturday. And here's the reason why. Now, obviously, for those of you that know, I'm a projectionist at my theater, and I have worked at that theater for a long, long time. And because of that factor, I build the movies. That's just how it works. I build the movies. And sometimes, as you guys and girls out there know, they do advanced screenings the night before a movie opens. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is what is opening tonight. And we'll actually be going to see that tonight after I get off work. And that is actually going to be the only thing that is showing tonight. Pre-shows will only be Turtles tonight. So that's the reason why the AJ's movie reviews will not come out Friday, because we have to watch all the other movies on Friday. And the other movies in question will be, in this case, Step Up All In, 100-Foot Journey, and Into the Storm. And once those are watched, we're going to film those videos 9:30 at night-ish, and that will go out on Saturday for AJ's movie reviews. Yes, this week we are going to be talking Sharknado 2. Just like I said we would, it's going to be on this week's video. And I believe it's Fading Gigolo is the other one that is going to be coming out with the 4 movies in question. So that will be your Saturday video. So what's that mean? That means that we're going to flip things around, and provided everything works out, Ashley's Gaming with Ash segment is actually going to be coming out tomorrow. It's actually going to lead off the weekend for Pop. So Ashley gets to get in the driver's seat, start off the week. And of course this Sunday, Brandy versus the Cryptic Comment is going to be choreography. So yeah, there's always that. And I'll talk about next week's really strange schedule when we get to it. And by strange schedule, I mean movie schedule. You're actually going to get 2 editions of AJ's movie reviews next week, but we'll talk about that later. So, let's talk Destination X, shall we? Live to tape, of course, at the Grand Ballroom in the Manhattan Center of New York City. And these TNA shows in the New York area have been doing oh so well. And I don't know what their crowds were tonight, or what they were last night or the night before, but Impact started taping back in New York on Tuesday, and they taped last night, and tonight's their final night of tapings. And it's going to get them into the month of October. So who knows what's going to happen after that. Because obviously, supposedly right now, the contract with Spike TV is up as of October, so this may or may not be the last set of tapings on Spike TV. So, we'll talk about that when we get to it. Now, once again, let's do this. Starts off the show with Austin Aries, the greatest man who ever lived, standing inside an empty ring inside an empty building. He said he's going to channel the crowd's energy to once again become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He's going to make lightning strike twice, obviously. So we get our official opening, and that is Dixie Carter making her way to the ring with Rockstar Spud, Rhino, Ethan Carter III, Gene Snitsky, and the former Big Zeke, Ezekiel Jackson, now known by his real name of Reichland Stevens. She says, "Hello, New York. Every time you think you figured out the game, I change the rules." I think Roddy Piper's going to sue somebody. "What happened to your hometown heroes? Bully Ray, Devon, Tommy Dreamer. You know, they've all been beaten down. You fans are living in the past." It's quite comical, actually. Rhino tells everyone to show some respect to the Carters because they're Carters. Sure, Rhino. I'm not going to tell you no. You probably tried to rip my head off and defecate down my throat. Anyway, at least if you want to go by the Man-Beast Rhino of ECW days, that's exactly what you'd say you'd do to me. Pretty much in those words, but not as PG as I put it. Dixie said, "If you want to chant EC-Dub, not saying ECW, but EC-Dub, I'm going to give it to you. But it's not going to be your broken down, old, washed-up has-beens who, by the way, left the company for greener pastures to make more money and then let it die," which actually is the truth. "I will give you the true EC-Dub, the real EC-Dub. First, I've given you the true star of a true company, Ethan Carter III, EC3. So Carter gets on the mic and he says, "Dixie is the president, I'm a general, and this is our army of extreme. First time, let's talk about a former champion of the brand that you call your favorite." Hello, Rhino. "Who won't be known by someone from a random name generator, like, oh, I don't know, Derek Bateman, maybe? This is Reichland." That's what they're calling the former Big Zeke. Reichland. Reichland Stevens is his shoot name. So yeah, Reichland is actually going to be what they're going to call him. Then we have our heavy artillery. "Every time that you chant for ECW, you know what? You're chanting for Gene Snitsky." Never thought of it that way. But I guess it's true. Snitsky was, of course, part of the, what I coined the WeCW group. And so was Big Zeke. He was, if I remember correctly, he was the last WeCW World Heavyweight Champion. So that was back when it was the ugly, ugly, ugly silver belt that I hated so much. If he wasn't the last champion, he was one of the last champions. I can't recall off the top of my head, and I'm not going to look off camera and find out. So, then Hardcore Faithful, last and certainly not least, I have one of your own. Yes, the last ECW World Heavyweight Champion, legitimately, was Rhino. He won the TV title, and then he challenged the Sandman for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Sandman said, "Ring the effing bell," and Rhino destroyed him, and he was a dual champion to end ECW. So, this is a mercenary, a gun for hire. See, you guys are valiant warriors, but you know what? This is war. I propose one last battle, one final war for the company. Carter says, "Dixie will never go through a table, but let's tear the building down and build it up as the house the Carters built." Ooh. I'm not going to make any friends in this building for saying that. Dixie says, I will put you down forever." Great way to start off the show. Obviously, putting Dixie in the driver's seat of everyone wanting to see her get obliterated through a table by Bully Ray, just like he has said it was going to happen. And unfortunately, it's already been spoiled, but I do actually want to see what kind of response it gets, honestly. A little bit of backlash now, but I'm really interested to see how it works. The introduction of Snitsky is fine, and Reichland, which is okay. It gets Spud off the team, and it makes it... Spud's a good wrestler, but in this storyline, it actually makes sense for there to be 4 normal competitors in the match. That's nothing against Spud at all, but it makes sense for Spud to be the Weasley guy at ringside, making sure that everything goes Dixie's way. And that makes perfect sense to me. And if Spud was in the match, he couldn't do that. So, yeah, it makes perfect sense to me for Rockstar Spud to be at ringside. And for Rhino, Reichland, and EC3, along with Snitsky, to get the job done. Or try to get the job done. Against the ECW faithful, of course, of 3D, Dreamer, and whomever their last partner may be. So, we got our first match. It is for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. The current reigning and defending TNA World Tag Team Champions Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards, the Wolves, defending against Matt and Jeff Hardy. Back together again in New York City. And this match... Really enjoyed this. I like the chemistry between these 4 guys. And it worked really well. So let's pick it up midway through. Eddie with an enziguri kick on Jeff Hardy. And this allows for Davey with a release German suplex. Eddie with a jackknife cover. 1-2 and a kick out. They go for the double suplex on Jeff. They pick him up. Matt grabs him, catches him, and the Hardys end up sending the Wolves to the outside. So Matt gets on all fours, Jeff leaps off his back and hits Poetry in Motion over the top rope to both of the Wolves on the floor. Tag back into Matt when he gets back in the ring. They hit the double whip. The legitimate version of Poetry in Motion does connect, and then Matt lays him out with a side effect on Eddie Edwards. And Jeff goes up top, rips off the shirt, Swanton Bomb, and Davey Richards comes in, tosses Jeff to the floor. Matt Hardy ends up knocking Davey to the floor, and then Matt goes up top for the moonsault on Eddie Edwards, and he hits it, and 1-2, Davey Richards makes the save. So Matt tosses Davey again, and Matt locks Eddie in the ice pick, which is like a double underhook guillotine choke, which looked awesome, by the way, with the body scissors, mind you. And Jeff ends up locking the ice pick on Davey, so both Hardys have the Wolves in stereo submission holds, trying to get the victory there. Davey finally breaks the grip by sending Jeff into Matt, which thus breaks the hold. Great way to do that. So Jeff goes for a corkscrew pescado and misses, and Matt and Eddie Edwards trade right hands, and then they trade forearms. Matt gets the upper hand with 3 forearms, comes off the ropes. They toss him up in the air. The pop-up kick does connect, and Davey and Eddie go up top, and they both hit double boot stomps, not at the same time, but one after another. And 1-2, Matt kicks out. Tag officially into Davey Richards, and he sets up for the powerbomb lung blower combo, obviously trying to set up the finish here, the force of nature. And Jeff smartly grabs the foot, so he can't get involved and obviously finish off the double team. So there is an Eddie Edwards tope con hilo on Jeff Hardy on the floor that takes him out of this, and then the twist of fate is hit on Davey Richards in the middle of the ring. Matt only gets a 2 off of that. Hits the twist of fate, but it gets countered into a backslide. 1-2, Davey Richards only gets a 2 there. Matt with a snap clothesline and puts him on the buckle. Climbs up, going for a superplex. Eddie with the leaping kick to the side of the head on Matt Hardy. Eddie goes for the sunset bomb, and that sets up for the finish. And Davey with headbutts and headbutts and headbutts, and finally he softened up enough. They finally hit Force of Nature, and 1, 2, and at 3, you see out of the corner of your eye, Davey Richards holding Jeff Hardy down in the opposite corner, making sure he cannot make the save as the 3 count goes down and the Wolves retain the TNA World Tag Team Championships. I really enjoyed this match. really enjoyed these match. It was a passing of the torch, obviously, of the Hardys passing the torch to Richards and Edwards, and I thought that that worked really well. And after the match was over, they, code of honor, since we're in New York, they shook hands, so it worked really well. The only thing missing from this feud right now is I really wish the Bad Influence was still with the company. Daniels and Kazarian really should still be with the company right now. I understand why they're not, but I really hope that they end up somehow, some way, coming back to the company and being a part of this new tag team division. I really think that TNA dropped the ball when it came to a legitimate feud between Bad Influence and the Wolves over the tag team championships. They had a couple of matches, but that's it. They dropped it right there. And I really think that they needed to do more, and unfortunately they didn't. But still, I would like to see them face off somewhere down the line. So we get our next match, and it is our first of 3 matches. Now what these are 3 three-way dances, and the winners of said three-way dances will go on to one final three-way dance that's going to happen on Impact tonight, and it will crown the brand new TNA X Division champion. Now, of course, the reason why the X Division championship is now vacant is because Austin Aries gave up said X Division championship for a guaranteed shot at Bobby Lashley in the TNA World Heavyweight title, and obviously that's coming up later on tonight. So we get our first match. Before our first match, we actually get a really nice stare down with Low Ki and Samoa Joe staring each other down. So yes, I really want to see them lock up in TNA again, and from what I've heard, it does happen, and I am really excited to see it happen. So basically, TNA aired a really great video package on Low Ki first, and really getting the crowd to realize anything about him that we're not aware. Given the fact we're in New York, this is a place that Low Ki knows very well, and utilizing a lot of the New York indie talent worked really well with TNA's advantage here. Given the fact that obviously when they're bringing up someone like Robbie E had his start basically in New York independence, so yeah, it makes sense that they would utilize Low Ki and Homicide, and like I said, they probably would have used Red if it wasn't for the fact that I think Red still has heat with the company, as far as I know he does. But that's speculation. So, our first X Division title qualifier stars DJ Zema Ion, Manic, and Low Ki. So we pick it up midway through the match. The story of the match basically is Manic kept going for the lethal injection the whole time. And when he double chicken winged the arms, he would pretty much be turned away. That's basically what would happen. So he goes for it, and Low Ki elbows his way out. He boots Zema for good measure, goes for the key crusher, but it gets escaped, and then Manic with a double chicken wing on Zema, and Low Ki with a front drop kick knocks him halfway across the ring, which breaks the hold, sending Manic hard into the corner. So basically he hits both guys. He goes up top, Zema crotches him, he hits a shot to knock him off, and double shotgun knees by Zema off the ropes, and got a pin on that, 1-2, and Manic kicks out. So he goes up top, Low Ki knocks Zema off the top rope with the title crush, and basically Zema finds nothing but the ground, and it looked really awesome, by the way. All the way to the floor goes Zema Ion, just like I said. The double chicken wing, Low Ki counters forward roll, and stops it, double boot stomp. Key Crusher connects, and 1, 2, 3. Low Ki is the first combatant going on to the final three-way to determine the brand new X Division champion. The right person went over in this match. Without a doubt, the right person went over in this match. And honestly, with looking at how this unfolded throughout the entire show, yeah, the right people went over in these matches, and I think it would have been great to see what actual different matches might have been. There actually was one thing that could have happened differently, but it would have changed the complexion of everything. But we'll talk about that later. Here comes Cowboy James Storm out, and he says that he's the legend. Basically, it was like a student awoken. He's leading the damn revolution. These are his words, not mine. He is Sonata's new leader, mentor, and now friend. So he brings Sonata out to the ring to have a little bit of a jawing session, and setting up for the next match, which is the second in the 3 matches, which is Sonata, the return of Brian Cage, as well as Crazy Steve representing the Menagerie. So Brian Cage comes out looking jacked as ever. And here comes Crazy Steve riding the tricycle to the ring. He's got the up tricycle, basically, because he's got the balloons attached to it, up tricycle. The Gorgeous Rebel comes out, and then, of course, you get the Freak, as well as the Ringmaster Nux comes out. So, yeah, that's how we end up starting this. And this is our second match. So we pick it up midway through the match, and Cage with a nice Samoan drop on Sonata, while he has Crazy Steve hooked. And at the same time, he releases both, and he hits a Samoan drop on Sonata and a fall-away slam on Crazy Steve, which goes halfway across the ring. Looks phenomenal. So Sonata hits the drop toe hold to Brian Cage, sends him in the middle buckle. Sonata punches him in the head viciously, charges in, he gets the boot up, and he gets backdropped over the top rope to the floor. So Crazy Steve goes up top, Brian Cage climbs up to meet him, and he holds Steve up in a vertical suplex. Looked like he was setting up for Generico's Brainbuster at this point, but it was not to be, because Crazy Steve shows why he is not called Sane Steve or Passive Steve. He's Crazy Steve. So what does he do? He bites Brian Cage in the forehead, and this allows for this to change momentum, and then he rains down an elbow and hits a sunset bomb. He makes the cover, and Sonata pulls Crazy Steve off. So Steve with a double chop for good measure, and climbs up on top of Sonata, flips forward, and goes for a sunset bomb into the middle buckle. Have not seen that. He whips him in, but it's blocked, and he whips him in, and it's blocked again, and Brian Cage, of course, is not able to be whipped at this point. So he hits a vicious European uppercut. He whips him in, he ducks his head, and Cage gets kicked in the chest. He gets caught with a modified pain thriller, which is basically what it was at this point. A mountain bomb, if you know what I'm talking about. And he goes for a K-Brada moonsault, but he misses. Sonata hits the Tiger Suplex on Crazy Steve, and 1, 2, 3, Sonata is your victor. This match was alright. I think everybody got enough shine in this match. Really had a nice series for Brian Cage. I don't know if they're going to do anything more with him in the future, but I wouldn't have an issue if they did, because it actually worked pretty well. He actually, just looking at him, he doesn't look like a guy that would keep up with the cruiserweights, the junior heavyweights in this match, but still, it worked really well. And the fact that X Division is not about weight limits, it's about no limits, is pretty much played up in this, and someone else going to be in the show later on. I like this because Sonata came in, basically stole the win out of nowhere, because he basically just had to watch Crazy Steve get beaten up, and when Brian Cage ended up getting disoriented momentarily, getting taken out momentarily, he went and sicked on Crazy Steve and hit the Tiger Suplex and got the pin there, so that worked really well. We get a run-in in the back of former tag team partners, and Austin Aries and Bobby Roode. They run into each other in the back. Bobby Roode says he was overconfident and he made mistakes, but I'll admit, for the first time, when you beat me, it wasn't a fluke. And of course, Aries like, what'd you say? He's like, okay, fine, it wasn't a fluke. So on that night, you were the better man, plain and simple. So I want you right now to go out, beat Bobby Lashley like I know you can, and win that World Heavyweight Championship. And Aries says, basically, you know what? When I win that title one more time, I have no problem giving you the first shot. So we can do this once again, one more time. I really like that, actually, a lot, and I think it's going to work really well. Bobby Roode is amazing, and he is very underutilized, and I really hope that they do more with him. I think both Aries and Roode are probably going to be TNA World Heavyweight Champions in the near future, to be honest, and I don't have an issue with that. Given the fact that your champion right now is in the camp of MVP, I think that there's a possibility you could possibly get something involving Bobby Roode and Lashley somewhere sooner rather than later. And Aries and Lashley had a decent match, but we'll talk about that as we progress. So, of course, Dreamer and 3D, they already have their answer. But they're going to come to the ring and do it in front of everyone. Devon says, Ethan Carter III must be stuck on stupid. You challenge us to a war. Well, we surely know how to start one, and we damn sure know how to finish one. EC3, this is about something bigger. Being hardcore It's not tables and ladders. It's a work ethic. And there's, of course, boys and girls in the back that obviously bust their ass every single night and have that work ethic that they had back in the original ECW days. Dreamer says he'd go to war with Bobby Roode and Showtime Eric Young and Samoa Joe and Austin Aries and the Wolves, because that is what this business is all about. He doesn't want to wait. He wants to get this done right here, right now. So, Carter, Spud, Rhino, Snitsky, and Reichland come out. It is war. But it's going to take place on our terms and on Carter time. So we'll go to war next week. Bully says, you know what? No one wants to see us go to war next week. Ethan, do you know where you are? You're in New York City, baby. And you're gonna die. I called this actually, but I called it differently. If I wanted, I could surely start a mother truckin' riot. Yes, of course. Can't use the F word on television, so he said truckin'. Right here and right now. Because anyone that knows anything about Bully Ray's ECW past, yeah, the Dudley Boys could definitely start a riot. And I can vouch for this because I was in attendance at ECW Heatwave 99 in Dayton, Ohio. And if you have the WB Network for $9.99, you can actually see me on television most of the night. I was in the front row wearing a white Rob Van Dam t-shirt with my uncle wearing a blue South 316 shirt. Anyway, cheap plug. But yes, I definitely know that Bully Ray knows how to start a riot, because when he basically said that a daughter was taught by her mom to do something. So yeah, that pretty much started a war. So there's always that. But Bully says this is going to be our terms. And our terms are this: 8-man weapons extreme hardcore war. I promise, and I will give my word for the last time, this time next week, your Aunt Dixie Carter is going through a table. Devon says testify, and that's the end. Really great heat going into this match, and really making everyone want to see these 8 men beat the daylights out of each other. And who is the last of the ECW faithful to join the group? We would not find this out until tonight on Impact. But I can't talk about that till next week. So Samoa Joe is talking to Kurt Angle, and you can't really hear what's being said, but they kind of have a heated argument of sorts, but they end up shaking hands anyway, so we find that out. And Angle says Destination X is about to have no limits. Keep that in mind. So EC3 is rallying his troops in the back, and he says next week this ends. King Mo is here. Of course, he's the insurance policy of Dixie Carter. And he's like, you know what, King Mo, you got this. And then we get the beautiful people in the back. And they're being asked why they broke up Gale and Terran 3. Well, they basically say, you know what, you should worship the beautiful people. And they don't really want to leave a comment on what happened. So Kurt Angle is blocking Angelina's rematch with Gail Kim, obviously. And next week there's going to be an announcement made worthy of Destination X. So we get a very awesome video package. And it is letters that are flicking back and forth, and there reveals an H. And yes, for those of you that are independent wrestling fans, someone that you know very well is coming to the Knockouts division, and it's going to be all-out war once she arrives, and apparently she's not going to be arriving for a while. I do know for a fact that on last night's Impact taping, she actually made her official debut. So, but that when I say last night's Impact tapings, we're not talking now, we're talking like middle of September when she finally debuts. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do with this, and this is someone I really enjoy in the ring, and someone that I'd like to see do some really great work in TNA, and I know she will. So yeah, I'm very happy that this person is coming to the company. She's going to shake things up in the Knockouts division, to say the least. So Samoa Joe basically says he's back in the X division, and he's going to be the next champion. So he's put himself in the last three-way to determine who goes on to face off with Sanada and Low Ki tonight for the vacant X Division Championship. But in order to do that, he has to go through Tigre Uno and the notorious 187 Homicide, making his return to TNA. So yes, that's what we've got. And oh, how stiff this match was. We pick it up midway through this match. Uno with a high kick on Homicide, goes up top, dive bombs the leg of Homicide, and Joe makes a save before the three. Joe hits a snap jabs, inverted atomic drop, Yakuza kick, missed the senton backsplash this time. And a K-Brada corkscrew. Wow, I almost called it corksquister. That's not even a word. He basically hits a K-Brada version of a Sky Twister press, and he gets a 2 count off of that because Samoa Joe is saved by Homicide. Whip in, reverse, charges in, he eats the back elbow, and a swinging DDT on Tigre Uno gets a 2. Sets up for the Gringo Killer, and Joe flips Uno over, back chops Homicide for fun, and he clotheslines Uno, charges into a knee lift, and a middle rope tornado DDT. He gets tossed over, charges in, eats the ST Joe, does Homicide. So he puts him on the buckle, he goes up for the muscle buster, and he breaks it with an eye rake of all things. Very interesting. Uno climbs up, and a back kick to Joe, goes for a 180 flying body press, and Joe just walks out of the way. He's like, yeah, I don't need this. Joe with a chop, hits the muscle buster on Homicide, and gets the 3 count. So Samoa Joe, Low Ki, and Sanada will be facing off for the vacant TNA X Division Championship tonight on Impact. So yes, I can say tonight on Impact because this is Thursday's video. So we get our main event of the evening, and before we get our main event of the evening, we get an interesting video package of the history of Bram and Abyss. And Abyss says he's been through everything imaginable, but when Bram buried Janice in his gut, he took things to a whole new level. Next week, he's got 2 tickets to the Monsters Ball. He's not Eddie Money. He doesn't have 2 tickets to the Parkersburg Homecoming or Paradise, depending on who you are. Some people that are local will get that reference. 1 for Bram, 1 for him, and Bram is going to find out just how sharp Janice can be. Oh, Bram, what more can I say? What can make me feel this way? My girl. Yes, Abyss quoting the Temptations in a hardcore promo is gold, Jerry Gold. And he pulls out Janice, and we're going to do Stairway to Janice between Bram and Abyss, and I have no issues with that because that makes perfect sense. And I don't know if they're going to call it Stairway to Janice, but yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's going to be a Stairway to Hell match, which of course is the barbed wire and nail-filled Janice, which is going to be hanging high above the ring and only reachable by a ladder. So yeah, Bram and Magnus having a great team, but Bram has actually had a really nice hardcore feud with Abyss, and I think it's going to come to a head in Hammerstein, so that's going to be pretty awesome, really awesome. So we get our main event of the evening, and it is Lashley defending the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against a double Austin Aries. So we pick it up midway through, Lashley with a vicious shoulder block to the midsection. He chokes him on the middle rope. He steps on Aries' face for good measure. So he hits the shoulders in the corner, and one has so much power and so much oomph to it that it basically sends Aries out through the middle rope to the floor. So 2 elbows by Aries, and clubs the back of the knee by Lashley. Smart move there. So he rams him, he picks him up in like an inverted body slam is basically what it is. So like this, normally a body slam is like this. He basically has him like an inverted fall-away slam position and just rams him into the steel ring post twice. So he tosses him in, hits a waistlock takedown, and the reverse gut wrench is applied. Aries elbows his way out. But it's not enough because he goes right back to it. And this time Aries tries to elbow out of it, and he does the ringing of the bells, which works really well. And he comes off the ropes, he gets caught, gorilla press, Aries tossed up in the air and dropped Ultimate Warrior style down to the canvas. So he goes for the over-the-shoulder power slam, Aries shimmies off, lands on his feet, hits the rolling elbow, then he hits it again, then vicious forearms in the corner, and he hits 2 overhand chops, goes for the 10 punch. At about 8, he gets shoved off, and he low bridges a charging Lashley. Lashley goes over the top to the floor, and Aries tried it earlier on in the match, and it was unsuccessful. With this time, Aries actually leaps off the top and successfully double axe handle crowns Bobby Lashley on the floor. So he charges in with a diving forearm and hits a neck breaker while Lashley's tied up in the ropes, a reverse neck breaker in this case. Goes up top for the missile drop kick, and he hits it. He runs in for the IED in the corner, and it gets countered this time, gets caught. Dominator, and he's going for murder, death, kill, but it gets caught, and it gets transitioned into the last chancery. So while this is on, of course, Lashley has the giant neck, so it's not going to work too much on it. So what does Aries do? He rains down the knee strikes, because it makes perfect sense. And he goes for a front suplex, and ends up getting release front suplex by Lashley. He charges in, and he finds the post. So he hits the IED finally, the running drop kick in the corner, if you weren't aware, that's what he called it. And he hits the rolling elbow 2 times, and then Lashley is groggy. So he hits the IED again. He picks him up, hits the brainbuster, 1, 2, no, kicks out at right before 3. So, what does he have to do at this point? Lashley rolls to the floor to try to regroup. Aries sees this, spots it, and dodges after him like a dart with the heat-seeking missile. Lashley skips out of the way, and bam! Hits the steel guardrail. Lashley has basically just done Aries' party 100%. Aries is done. Completely, 100%. He is knocked out. He's not going to be a factor anymore. At least, so it seems. So, that ends up being his undoing. Lashley gets back in the ring. Aries kind of gets up to his feet. And murder, death, kill, 1, 2, 3. And the retaining of the TNA World Heavyweight Championship by Lashley. So yeah, that really good back and forth match between these two. I've said a lot about Lashley in the past, but I like his run in TNA. I think it works. Austin Aries is always good in the ring, and I'm really interested to see where they go with this from now on. And if Aries wants another shot, maybe he has to go through Kenny King, or he has to beat MVP, or just something like that, just to get this. Or if Aries is going to go back into the X Division, it's anyone's guess. So I wouldn't have an issue with Aries trying to go after the X Division title, because I know who is involved in that title match, so any of those 3 matches would be good against Aries at this point. So yeah, I really enjoyed the main event. This week, tonight, mind you, if you watch Impact, the matches will be as followed. There's actually going to be a couple of matches I'm not talking about, but I am going to be talking about the main 3 matches on the show. We have Monsters Ball, Bram and Abyss. We have the X Division title on the line. The vacant championship will be decided between the Samoan submission machine Samoa Joe, Sonata, as well as Low Ki. So that's going to be awesome. Really excited for that. And in the main event, 8-man Extreme Weapons Legal Hardcore War. It's Team 3D, Tommy Dreamer, and a mystery partner taking on Ethan Carter III, Rhino, Reichland, and Gene Snitsky. And that's going to happen tonight. Now, New York obviously returned Impact again. They actually were taping 2 days ago. They taped on Tuesday, they taped last night, and they're taping tonight. One last night of action. I know that Tuesday's tapings was Hardcore Justice. Really interested to see what they go with that. And I like the direction TNA is going with this. So, what I'd recommend on the show, honestly, the Hardys and the Wolves, yeah, I really enjoyed that match. Very good. DJZ and Manic and Low Ki, it was a good way to reintroduce Low Ki back. I had no problem with that. Brian Cage, Sonata, and Crazy Steve was good. I enjoyed it. I will say that Joe Homicide and Tigre Uno was fine. I enjoyed it. I like seeing Joe and Homicide hook it up again. It's been a long time since we have, and I can't wait to see them one-on-one once again. And Lashley and Aries was a very fitting end to Destination X, and it worked really well for me. I very much have enjoyed TNA as of late, and I've really enjoyed recapping TNA a lot more than some of the other stuff I've been watching lately. So yes, that was Destination X, and that was, yes, definitely a recommendation from me, Sir Owen Disney here. So, wrestling fans, you won't see me for a bit. Well, you'll see me after the weekend. So, Monday, of course, we're going to kick back into our regular schedule here on Pop. Monday will be the Raw recap. Well, actually, it'll be NXT and SmackDown. And Tuesday will be our Raw recap. Wednesday, we're going to talk Impact Wrestling. That is going to be filmed. Well, it was already filmed, but it's going to be shown on Spike TV tonight. And Thursday, we're going to be doing, like I said, who knows what's going to happen Thursday. And, of course, over the weekend, we have 2 editions of AJ's Movie Reviews because of the way things are working out right now. But that's going to be next week, so that's after this week, so there's always that. And 2 brand new verses, one this week, one next week, so there's always that as well. So yes, Impact has been really great lately, and I really hope it continues to be just as awesome as it has been. So I know that a lot of people go up on TNA, but honestly, just stick with them. We need an alternative. Vince needs an alternative at this point, obviously, and TNA needs to be that alternative one way or another. So that's what I've got for you guys, and thank you again for watching. If you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, go to Facebook, click like on our Facebook fan page. That is Sir Owen Disney Pop on Facebook. If you'd like to friend request me on Facebook, tell me you like what I'm doing here and you like what we're doing here on Pop, you're more than welcome to. It's Owen Disney. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's at Sir Owen Disney. Last but certainly not least, you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions. If you want to talk TNA with me, want to talk WWE with me, want to talk wrestling in general with me, or you want to talk about Disney or Universal or Halloween Horror Nights. Speaking of that, it sounds like there's a really good chance that tonight or tomorrow we're definitely getting an announcement of sorts, and we're definitely getting an announcement for sure on Sunday from Hollywood, from Scare LA. And starting next week, the 11th to the 15th, it sounds like we're getting another reveal week, at least if you believe rumors. So there's always that. And you can do that in a simple way. Email me, SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.